Did Bob Baffert DQ his own horse before a drug test even took place? Hi everyone, Trust the Profits here. I'm the Formula, joined as always by El Hombre. El Hombre, how's it going?
It's going well. First time ever in a broadcast. We're gonna basically highlight Parx. Love that. Parx was a significant piece early on in the Profits days. So
yeah, it was one of the few Parx that was running during the pandemic early days. It was Parx, Will Rogers, Fonner. Had some salad days in there for sure.
I also used to simulcast them a lot on weeknights, like back in the day.
Yeah.
Like one of the Tuesday night tracks. Good times anyway, but this is no Tuesday night claimer card. This is a big card, and it's got a lot of big names on the highlight of the card, the Pennsylvania Derby.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Derby, $1 million Derby, mile and an eighth. And we've got, I think, about a quarter of the Kentucky Derby contestants, and we're talking like the top corner of it. Got a pretty impressive slate here to talk about, and there it is. It's over here somewhere. Yeah. How about that? And we already have some breaking news, not so breaking. Bob Baffert already pulled out Medina Spirit after he got the 9 hole, saying that he didn't like the way the race was setting up for the horse. Right after the
big disappointment, I'm sure everybody was shocked.
Everybody
the only
was shocked,
shocking thing about this storyline was that he even fake entered him at all, but we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, exactly. Not exactly sure, number one, why he was entered if he was just going to pull him like that. Number two, not even sure what would have kept him in the race if he pulled him out so quickly. Also wondering why the 9 hole is so bad if Midnight Bourbon and Hot Rod Charlie to the left by just a few spots are perfectly okay and staying in the race. They don't seem to be pulling out.
The horse will be retired by the end of the year. We'll talk about that later another time as well.
One way or another, it'll be retired. So let's go ahead.
Working dirty. Who knew? Go ahead.
How do we want to do this? We want to go from top to bottom. We just want to go in any sort of random order here.
Let's talk about this. With Medina Spirit out, we've got the morning line favorite becomes HRC, who's obviously been a big focus all year for the Derby and the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Now the Breeders' Cup Classic. I don't think anybody in the world would say he's not a top 5 horse in the world to win the Breeders' Cup Classic at this point. Let's start right there. I mean, that's the cream of the crop, in my opinion. 5-2 morning line. You take Midnight Bourbon out, he becomes probably more of a 2-1, 8-5 type scenario. Where do you see? Do you think HRC's the guy here? You've always been kind of shadily off HRC. You've never been a monster fan of his, and the horse has not won the big one. He still hasn't. He won.
And that's what I keep coming back to. Yeah.
I'm sure anybody who's watched us before has seen my rant on that thing. I love this horse. I think he's going to win this hands down. I don't know. It's Parx. This is new territory, but I think he's $1 million winner, and he goes on and has a legit shot at the Breeders' Cup Classic. Formula, go.
Yeah, Flavian Pratt, Doug O'Neill, like you said before, 2 wins for his career. When you consider, I think he's had about 7 races. Obviously, he's racing in some pretty big ones. Probably had one at Haskell if there wasn't the whole DQ situation there. Getting tripped up with Midnight Bourbon, the rant, obviously. I think he's definitely in the top 3. I am not comfortable calling him the winner. I've got a different horse as the winner. I've actually got 2 horses that I like for the W. One is a long shot, and one is one of the more favorites of the race.
I'm interested to hear it because I'm looking at this pretty typically, I think.
Yeah.
I'll just give you the quick synopsis. HRC is going to the front. It's going to be the same old story. He's raced Midnight Bourbon 37 times at this point. Those two are going to go to the front. Hopefully they don't click heels this time.
Oh God.
HRC wins down the stretch out of those 2. The wild card for me, keep me in mind, Rosario on the 8-1. The horse had a really impressive kick on the way home. Honestly, the only horse in this race capable of beating either of those 2. If I have to put money on today,
a
few days in advance, it's going to be an exacta trifecta box with HRC, Midnight Bourbon, and Keep Me in Mind, which is the chalk. I get it. What am I supposed to do though? I mean, that's without watching it 4 days in advance, that's what's going to happen to me. How do you see it?
So I like Midnight Bourbon. If you're going to pick one of the favorites, I like Midnight Bourbon better. I do.
I don't hate you for it. The horse is strong.
Yeah, second in Travers versus Essential Quality. I think that's the race for me that really nailed down which one of these two, Hot Rod Charlie or Midnight Bourbon, do I like better. I think his effort versus Essential Quality in that race, in a long race, I think he's starting to improve and he's getting better every race. And I think maybe this is the one that he wins and people really take notice, right?
And by the way, those two horses, they're in rarefied company. Neither of them have ever looked bad in a race, in my opinion.
True.
They have not. They definitely have had races where they didn't win, but they never came off you never had a head scratcher like what happened there type race. They were always they were always in play, strong, great horses. That's why I'm saying Midnight Bourbon. If of course he's got a shot of if HRC gets a bad break, HRC has a bad trip, any of those things happen. Yeah. Go ahead though. Sorry to interrupt.
And obviously if you're Bob Baffert, you pull both those horses because they're starting way too far off the rail. But anyway, that's another story. No, you didn't cut me off at all. I just, based on what I've seen recently, I prefer Midnight Bourbon. I still like Hot Rod Charlie to be in the top 3 to finish in the money. I do have a long shot horse in here that I really like, though, and that's the horse that's in the 10th spot, American Revolution, 15-1, taking over the slot Baffert didn't want, right? This is a Pletcher and Saez joint here. So on a great horse, too. In his last race, got a hand right out at Saratoga in the Albany Stakes. This was a 1.125 miles, so it's setting up the same way as this one. Really good time, ran a 1:49 at that distance, which is what Essential Quality ran the Jim Dandy in. 3 wins his last 3 times out. Obviously never faced any sort of competition like you're seeing in the Pennsylvania Derby. But I don't know. I like a lot about American Revolution right now. The Pletcher-Saez connection is really positive. Maybe starting on the outside isn't such a bad thing. Maybe get some room to work with there. But yeah, that's going to be my shocker here is the 15-1 American Revolution.
Well, anytime you can throw Saez on, it was the rider of the year. And yes, I'm calling it in September. It's over.
Yeah.
He's the rider of the year. He deserves it. He's been the best all year. Even
owned Saratoga completely.
Yeah, owned the room. He's pretty much owned the room all year. And I don't think you can ever count him out. And American Revolution, he doesn't have the histories of 2 or 3 of these have been on the 3-year-old trail that everybody likes to see. But I don't hate it. If you're gonna play a bomb, 15-1, which by the way, everybody's morning line is gonna drop 3 or 4 points on the odds scale with Medina Spirit pulling out.
Yeah,
but this is gonna be another fun one, man. I mean, you kind of have I guarantee anybody who's watched these horses all year kind of has a picture painted already of what they kind of expect to see.
Yeah.
And for the most part, these horses, Hot Rod Charlie, Midnight Bourbon, Essential Quality, Keep Me in Mind, all these horses have followed script. And it's horses like Weyburn and Bourbon and some of these that have jumped in there and shaken up the scene.
Yeah.
Here and there with, some big wins, but they have not been consistent. That could happen again, but I really don't see it here.
I don't see it happening in this company. In other races that were feeder races for the Kentucky Derby where you had some favorites, but they weren't the horses that we're talking about here, not like the top 5 that we ended up seeing really make a difference in the Kentucky Derby, right? They had opportunities in those races when they were racing against, what was it, Candyman something or other?
Candyman Rocket, yeah.
Candyman Rocket, yeah. I don't see that happening here. I don't see either of those horses factoring in. I mean, Bourbonic in his last race, the West Virginia Derby, finished 3rd place. Mr. Wireless beat him. It's not impressing me at all.
One-trick pony.
Right. Weyburn last time out was 4th at the Jim Dandy. Okay. 2nd at the Pegasus at Monmouth before that. You know who I like here in 4th place? If you're going to look for a superfecta at all. So we talked about Hot Rod Charlie. We talked about Midnight Bourbon, and I brought up American Revolution. I like the horse in the 1 spot. So this is a horse that's trained by Brad Cox, Folsom, has run well at Parx before. He won the Smarty Jones at Parx.
Good.
I don't think he's as good as these other horses. He's probably a tier down than the 3 horses we talked about, but I do like him being kind of in that next tier. As those 3 horses pass the finish line, he could be the 4th one galloping in, well ahead of even Keep Me in Mind and company.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're talking about 4th place, so I think anything can happen for 4th. Depending
if
on
you want to play Superfect, I like those 4 though. That's the way I see this lining up.
All right. Anything else on the Pennsylvania Derby on this Saturday? Whatever the date is, the 9/25. I don't know. sounds about right.
I think that's about it. I mean, we said all we can, right? We got through the top 4 in my opinion on that race. I got no other comments.
It's leading into the Gem. We're all looking forward to the Breeders' Cup.
Oh, yeah.
First weekend in November. So this tells a little bit of the story going to the Breeders' Cup. So we'll have our eyes on it. And good luck to anybody betting.
Sure.
We'll talk to you soon. Peace out.